Hi, welcome to the Always Evolving podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Elizabeth Fedrick. Going to therapy is a wonderful step towards improving your mental health. But unfortunately, what a lot of people don't realize is that not all therapy is created equally. Here with us today is Morgan Starr-Riestis, holistic therapist and business mentor. Morgan is here to provide some insights on what is often missing from traditional therapy and ways to get more out of your therapeutic journey. It's okay that we don't have it all figured out. We're all just taking it a day at a time. This is Always Evolving with Dr. Liz. Hi, Morgan. Welcome to Always Evolving.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. I am so excited to talk about the topic that we're discussing today because it is something that I talk so often on my social media and with my clients about, and it needs to be said because there is such a misconception that just saying we're going to therapy is like solving it all. But as you and I both know, that is not the case. So before we jump into that, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what you specialize in.
Sure. So I'm a therapist and also a coach that has moved into business coaching as well. It's a really cool thing to help people build their businesses as a way to actually catalyze their own personal growth. So that's been something I've been really passionate about recently. But previously, I got my education in cognitive neuroscience, wellness, and human biology, and followed the therapy path for quite a while and still do have my own private practice as a therapist as well. So work a lot in somatic work, nervous system regulation, and really filling in a lot of the pieces that traditional one-on-one therapy hasn't been able to get people to where they want to be. And so that was a big question, especially early on for me personally, going through therapy since I was 15, why is this not getting me to where I want to be? So I started asking these questions professionally and helping clients get to where they wanted to be through now different modalities, kind of having a more holistic approach as well.
So important because it also gets really frustrating, like as the client, when you're doing years and years of therapy or even months or weeks, and you're like, why am I not seeing anything different? Why am I not feeling anything different? And it's because there's often missing components in the therapeutic process. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So many people are saying, I'm doing all the right things. So why is this not working? And some of the big missing pieces is that we're actually digging ourselves into a deeper hole a lot of the times if we are intellectualizing in our therapy sessions. And that's something that can be kind of hard to really track sometimes for therapists because we don't quite know fully. It's actually part of the paradigm a little bit. Let's talk about it and let's intellectualize it. But in reality, that keeps us at a distance from what we need to feel in order to heal. And a lot of times that's keeping us away from our body's understanding of what's happening. And as we know, we're not just a brain sitting up in our head, we're an entire nervous system. And so we need to really bring that into not just the therapy session, but outside of the therapy session as well. And so that's another missing piece that I see for a lot of people is that they say, oh, well, I'm going to my therapist once a week for an hour, which if it takes so many repetitions to actually see sustainable change. So in reality, we need to be implementing things outside of our therapy sessions to really see results. And so those are some of the main pieces. I guess the last one that I'll just sort of that wraps it all up in a bow is just a way to organize our process outside of that therapy session. I find a lot of people say, well, I don't really know. It's like, okay, I'm supposed to journal or it's like, but I don't really know about what, or where do I direct myself? And so that we go to the therapist, but then we only have that support 1 hour a week and think that that's going to be enough. And so that's kind of the quick and easy of it, some of the pieces that we're really missing.
Right. Yeah. And so let's even dig further into the first one with the somatic, which is so crucial. I did a post recently talking about, and I got quite a bit of pushback. People were very annoyed at the statement that I made, but I was talking about that, if there's a lot of conflict in your relationship, then it's vital to really dig into the unprocessed trauma and how that is manifesting and how that is popping up in your relationships. And I said in this video, it doesn't matter how many hours of talk therapy you do, that's not going to resolve this. And people were like, well, if not talk therapy, then what, do you, lots of pushback, which I get it, because it's not talked about enough in our community. It's not talked about enough in our field, that showing up to have a chat about your trauma, if anything, often exacerbates the symptoms, as you were describing a minute ago, that when we intellectualize it, when we are ruminating on it, we're not resolving it. We are just perpetuating it in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say that it's a mistake to think that intellectualization is the only thing, right? Because I think that we have both top-down processes and bottom-up. And in order to really see results, we need to have a combination of both. And so I think that the big mistake here is that people talk about it and then that's it, versus, okay, let's bring it into the body. Let's understand the ways that my nervous system is triggered beyond ways that we can talk. We need to bring in somatic techniques and ways to regulate our nervous system to actually keep our prefrontal cortex online, or else we're just spewing words at each other, or, sometimes even weaponizing because some of these words, because we're not feeling understood, or the trauma is becoming so real for our nervous systems in this moment that we're not able to stay present with our safety cues and really move through the conflict. And so that's why we need both, right? We need to also include the other person's nervous system and my nervous system and really have a felt sense of safety versus just talking about it. Because if you say, oh, well, this is my trauma and it's linked and here's why you made this trauma come up, it's like, that's potentially a great first step to identify it. But if that's the case, you're right, it's just going to continue to perpetuate, because then we're just pointing fingers at that point and not actually helping our bodies have a felt sense of, oh, we're safe now. We can work through this in a different way than what we previously, the dangerous situation or whatever that trauma was.
Absolutely. And that's exactly, I use a combination of cognitive behavioral therapy with EMDR and dialectical as well. I tie all of that in, but I agree that I often start with the CBT so that we are figuring out, what is this? Where is it coming from? How is it manifesting? How is it impacting you? Okay, cool. So now that we know that, now what do we do with it? I talk about that a lot with also a lot of self-help books. I feel like they do a really good job of telling us what's wrong, telling us, here's your issue. And then okay, see you later, versus here's what's going on and here's what to do. Exactly. Yeah. Which leads into your second point with that, the repetitions and the practice, that it is not enough so even if you are doing the trauma work or the somatic work, we then have to apply what we're learning to our day-to-day life, and we have to practice it. How do you give your clients even what does maybe homework look like for them so that they are rewiring the template and starting to make it their new norm?
Well, I mean, honestly, that's why I have my whole 7 Centers Life School that I've created. It's a day-to-day framework that can help organize someone's process so that they aren't ever wondering, okay, what do I need to focus on today? Or, and it's a very customizable thing for each person and where their process is at. And it really helps to have someone look at all of the foundational pieces of their holistic health and then organizes that via day and week, which I found really, really helpful, because ultimately, whenever I was both a client and a therapist, I was looking for some of how do I have homework for someone that's both customizable but isn't too much to where they're overwhelmed with it, or how do I make this an easy step-by-step thing? So that's why I ended up creating the 7 Centers Life School in the first place. But I mean, if I was to break that down in just easy examples, so Mondays, for example, I very much focus on safety and my body's health and my physical environment. And so I have these themes throughout the week that I'm asking myself, because I still practice this to this day. I created it over 10 years ago and still am using it with myself and clients. But so Mondays have a focus, and Tuesdays, let's look at our sensuality, our connection with our emotions, things like that, where we'll have different themes that then we look at and have different assignments around. And then we can, and so then at that point, it's almost like most of the work is actually being done outside of the therapy session. And then the therapy session or the coaching session is helping us actually just stay accountable to that work. Or, that's not like this floodgates, or we're, I've held it all in until I can talk to someone 1 hour a week, right? It's something that is really empowering for someone to utilize that outside of the therapy session. Almost we need that inverse in some ways.
Yeah, and I love how you say that, because you're right that the real work really does go on outside of the therapy session, because that's where we're applying it. That's where we are
Mhm.
rewiring the brain and reprogramming our habits. And it is that practice, practice, practice that makes that happen. And so whether it's the practice of self-care, the practice of meditation, visualization, um, showing up in a different way. So behaving a different way when we're feeling
Yeah.
activated. That is all the things that really starts to strengthen the synapses to
Mhm.
create the new behaviors and the changes. Um, I
Mhm.
love that. So where can people find you? How can they find the program that you've created? Where are you on socials and everything like that?
So I have a free seminar that you can watch to sort of learn a little bit about me and the process and also get started with the program if it's of interest to you at sevencenterslifeschool.com. Or you can follow me on social media. I'm on all the big ones at Mind's Eye Guidance. And it's MIND period PSY period guidance. So there's a little pun there.
Well, thank you so much, Morgan. And I will make sure to include all of that in the show notes so that everyone has access to it. Thank you for being here and for all your insights.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you all for joining us on the Always Evolving podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure to rate and review this episode, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and find me on Instagram at Dr. Elizabeth Fedrick. This is Always Evolving with Dr. Liz.